When it comes to ancient Indian history, there is a real dearth of information about important individuals. This scarcity of resources becomes even more severe when we talk about queens and princesses of ancient India. But there is one princess who later became a queen about whom we know quite a lot. I am here talking about Prabhavatigupta, the daughter of Chandragupta II, the great Gupta Emperor. To know about the life of Prabhavatigupta, we have to start our story in the reign of her grandfather Samudragupta. Now, during the reign of Samudragupta, we find that the expansion of the Gupta Empire really took place, and it was during this period that the central India region up to Narmada came under the Gupta control. In the central India region, before the conquest of the Guptas, it was the Nagas and the Vakatakas who were the two major powers in this region. But after the Gupta conquest, we find that the fate of these two powers was somewhat different. The Nagas lost their territories to the Guptas and the Guptas became their overlords. And what we also find, according to some scholar, that a Naga princess was taken to the Gupta court and brought up there. It was this Naga princess which went on to become the chief queen of Chandragupta II. This marriage between Chandragupta II and this Naga princess, who is called Kuber Naga, happened because Samudragupta wanted to convert the Naga rivals, who were rivals of the Guptas in the past, into allies. So this was a matrimonial alliance between the Guptas and the Nagas. Now the second power which was defeated by the Guptas in central India were the Vakatakas. And after being defeated by the Guptas, we find that the Vakatakas moved southwards beyond Narmada. And in this migration, it appears that the Vakataka royal family was divided into two branches. The first branch, or the main branch, ruled from the city of Nandivardhan, and the second branch ruled from the city of Vatsagulma. So this was the situation when Prabhavatigupta was growing up. It was her father Chandragupta II who was currently ruling the Gupta Empire. And we find that during the reign of Chandragupta II, one of the most important campaigns that he led was the conquest of the Shakas that were ruling Western India region. Now in this conquest, Chandragupta II first needed some allies, and one of the most important powers which he wanted to secure an alliance with were the Vakatakas. The main reason for this alliance was that Chandragupta II was worried that when he will start invading the Shaka territory in Western India, there was a real threat that the Vakatakas might invade central India to reconquer their original homeland. So in order to successfully invade Western India, Chandragupta II needed the support of the Vakatakas. And to gain this support, we find that he offered his own daughter Prabhavatigupta in marriage to the Vakatakas. Prabhavatigupta, as we know, was born to Chandragupta II and his Naga wife Kuber Naga. Now during this period, the Vakatakas, particularly the Nandivardhan branch, was ruled by King Prithvi Sen, and Chandragupta II had offered her daughter in marriage to the son of Prithvi Sen, whose name was Rudrasen II. Now this offer of Chandragupta II was also quite favorable for the Vakatakas. Prithvi Sen, who was ruling the Vakatakas, knew that there was a real threat that the Guptas might try to invade their newly founded kingdom. So this alliance, or this proposal to form a matrimonial alliance by the Guptas, presented a favorable opportunities for the Vakatakas. With this alliance, the Vakatakas were sure that now there would no conquest of the Guptas south of the Narmada, and there was also this prestige that they would form a matrimonial alliance with an imperial power like the Guptas. Now, this marriage between Prabhavatigupta and Rudrasen II happened around the end of 4th century AD, particularly in the last decade of 4th century AD. And we find that with this marriage, there was a triple alliance of sorts. We can say this because Prabhavatigupta was born to Chandragupta II and his Naga wife Kubernaga, and now she is marrying a Vakataka prince. So there is this triple alliance of the Guptas, Nagas and the Vakatakas. Now with this marriage and the accession of Rudrasen II, we find that in the Vakataka court, the Gupta influence is also increasing. We can say this because when we read the inscriptions of the early Vakataka rulers, we find that they were all worshippers of Lord Shiva. But Rudrasen II describes himself as great devotee of Lord Vishnu. Now this change in the religious preference of Rudrasen II suggests the Gupta influence, because we all know that the Guptas were great devotee of Lord Vishnu, and with the marriage of Prabhavatigupta and Rudrasen II, this influence, particularly in religious sphere, has crept into the Vakataka realm. Now for Rudrasen II, as a Vakataka ruler, everything was going well. There was no threat from the north, particularly of the Guptas, and we find that he was free to focus all his attention on the Vakataka realm. But around 405 AD, something terrible happened. Rudrasen II, the Vakataka ruler, suddenly died, and he was survived by his wife, 3 sons and at least a daughter. After the death of Rudrasen II, his eldest son Divakar Sen was still a minor, so he could not be the next Vakataka king. So it was decided that the widow of Rudrasen II and the mother of Divakar Sen, Prabhavatigupta, would become the regent. Now there are some scholars who argue that the name Prabhavatigupta was adopted by this Gupta princess after she became the regent. Earlier her name was Munda, and the adoption of this title Prabhavatigupta was because she wanted to show that she had the backing of the imperial Guptas. This was because there was a real threat that the regency of the Vakar Sen would pass to a Vakataka royal, particularly the king of the Vatsagulma branch, Vindhyashakti II. Vindhyashakti II was the eldest male of the Vakataka royal family, and it also made sense that the regency of Divakar Sen would pass to a Vakataka male and not a foreign princess that belonged to a family that was earlier the enemy of the Vakatakas. But this did not happen. Because of the backing of the imperial Guptas, it was Prabhavatigupta who became the regent. Now with this regency, we find that the Guptas also had a great opportunity. Chandragupta II, the father of Prabhavatigupta, can now easily influence the Vakataka court without any conflict, and we find that this is exactly what he did. We find when we read the inscriptions of Prabhavatigupta that these inscriptions read more like a Gupta genealogy and not like a Vakataka inscriptions. In the first 7 lines, only the genealogy of the Gupta rulers are mentioned. There is no talk about the genealogy of the Vakataka rulers. And when we look at the title of Rudrasen II, the husband of Prabhavatigupta and the father of Prabhavatigupta, Chandragupta II, the Gupta Emperor, we find that the title are also quite different. The title for her husband is Maharaja, but Prabhavatigupta has given the title of Maharaja Dhiraj to her father, Chandragupta II. So this difference of titles also suggests that how important the Gupta influence was in the court of the Vakatakas during the regency of Prabhavatigupta. During this regency, Prabhavatigupta had married her daughter, whose name according to some scholars was Ati Bhavati, to her half-brother Ghatotkach. Ghatotkacha during this time was the governor of central India, and this was the period when Chandragupta II was succeeded by Kumargupta. So it was her half brother Kumargupta who was ruling the Gupta Empire, and Ghatotkacha, who was also the half brother of Prabhavatigupta, was the governor of central India. With marrying her daughter to Ghatotkacha, Prabhavatigupta had hoped that this would ensure the future alliance between the Guptas and the Vakatakas. Now, in this regency of Prabhavatigupta, we find that in the 13th year something tragic again happened. Divakar Sen, the minor king, died. After the death of Divakar Sen, her regency over her two sons lasted 2 or 3 years more. So in total, she ruled as a regent for around 13 or 14 years. This was quite a long time by Indian standard. And there was no doubt that this long period of regency was possible only because Prabhavatigupta had the backing of the imperial Guptas. After the regency of Prabhavatigupta was over, we find that her second son Damodar Sen ruled for some time. But his rule did not last long, and finally, it was the eldest son of Prabhavatigupta and Rudrasen II, whose name was Pravarsen II, came to the Vakataka throne. Now, with the accession of Pravarsen II, we find that he started to move away from the Gupta influence. And one of the most important steps in this direction was the shifting of capital. It was during the reign of Pravarsen II that the capital of the Vakatakas, particularly the Nandi branch, was shifted from the older capital, which was Nandivardhan, to a new capital, which was Pravarpura. This new capital, Pravarpura, was south of Nandivardhan, and it was also quite far from the Gupta border. Now, in my view, this capital shift happened because Pravarsen II wanted to move away from the Gupta influence. Around 443 AD, the mother of Pravarsen II, Prabhavatigupta, died. And with her death, soon the hostility between the Vakatakas and the Guptas will reach an all-time high when the Vakatakas would be forced to choose a side in the Gupta civil war. About this civil war, we will talk in this video when it will be uploaded. If you want to know about the early history of the Vakatakas, please watch this video. Thank you for watching.